Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the anti-TBR tag. This tag is basically a bunch of questions about books that I do not plan on reading or have no interest in reading, like whatsoever, at least right now in my life. This tag was created by Nicole and her book, so I will leave a link to her video in the description. If I hate on your faves, I'm so sorry. Do not come for me. I feel like this is an obvious disclaimer that I feel like doesn't really need to be said anymore at this point when it comes to videos like this, but I will say it anyways. These opinions are mine. They're my opinions. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. If you love any of the books I'm going to mention in this video, I'm happy for you. That's it. I'm happy you love them. You can tell me why. Convince me to read them. I don't know. Change my mind. But don't come for me if I don't want to read your fave. At least right now in my life. Okay? Okay. So let's get on with the questions. Alright, so question number 1 is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. I have a few. I have absolutely no interest in reading The Cruel Prince or that whole series or whatever that even is. The Shatter Me series I have no interest in reading, and Loveless by Alice Oseman. I am so sorry. I know that so many people love that book, but I have no interest in reading it. I read Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I liked it for what it was. I thought it was cute and fun and whatever, but I didn't feel like I connected with it as much as so many other people. I feel like a lot of her books seem to be kind of like in the same realm. So personally, I just don't really care to read any of her other books, to be honest. But I feel like Loveless is the one that I see people reading and talking about the most, and the one that I recognize more as an Alice Oseman book rather than like the Heartstopper books and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just have no interest in reading it whatsoever. Not because I don't like Alice Oseman, I just have no interest reading them. The other ones, I don't even know what they're about. I have no idea what The Cruel Prince or Shatter Me are even about, and I honestly don't really care. I feel like what happens with a lot of YA series, at least for me, is I feel like after a while they all kind of start to become the same. And I mean, obviously they have different stories, but I feel like in essence, it kind of feels like I'm reading the same series over and over. After reading my fair share of YA series, I just don't really find that much interest in reading these two specifically. There are a couple others that I have some interest in like trying out, but these two specifically I have just no interest whatsoever in getting into. So the second question is a classic book or author you don't have any interest in reading. I have absolutely no interest in reading anything by Charles Dickens. I have no interest in reading anything by him. I read like a portion, I guess, of A Tale of Two Cities like so long ago, and it was so fucking boring. I wanted to rip my eyes out. I don't feel like you need to read Charles Dickens. I don't know. I just don't have any interest in reading Charles Dickens. I don't think that's a problem. To me, when I think of a Charles Dickens book, I think of like stale bread, if that like makes any sense. If you love Charles Dickens, that's fine. Obviously, you think of something else when you think of Charles Dickens. But for me, I think of like stale bread. I don't know. The third question is an author whose books you have no interest in reading. Now, I actually have two answers for this question. One I kind of answered previously, Alice Oseman. I just don't really have any interest reading any of her books, and not because I think she's a bad writer or I wouldn't enjoy her stories. I just don't think that I am necessarily going to connect with them as well as other people could or other people will. And that's okay. I just think that they're not really for me. Another author whose books I have no interest in reading is Rainbow Rowell, and I feel like a lot of people also share this opinion. I read Fangirl and Eleanor and Park when they both came out. I really liked Fangirl, like most people did, but I actually really didn't like Eleanor and Park. Aside from the racism within the writing, I just couldn't stand the book. I didn't like Eleanor's character. I just didn't like any of that. And then with her new books that she's written and stuff, I just don't care about the plots. They seem very like quirky, which is just something that I have absolutely no interest in reading. So I just don't care to read anything by her anymore. And like I said, I feel like a lot of other people also share that opinion. The fourth question is an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. The answer I have to this question is also, I feel, an answer that a lot of other people share, John Green. But to not list Rainbow Rowell and Alice Oseman again, his books drive me crazy. His books drive me nuts. They're all about the same fucking thing. They're all about shy boy who is not totally a fucking loser, but like kind of a loser, meets like manic pixie dream girl, falls in love with her, and for some reason, this girl who's like way cooler and way hotter than this boy likes him. Why? That's just unrealistic. That's just like not it. I don't vibe with the green. You know? I know he has written a book lately. I don't know what it's called at the top of my head. Turtles All the Way Down. I've heard that one's pretty good. So, I don't know. If a number of people can convince me to read that one and tell me that it's good and that my experiences with Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska are not the entirety of John Green's books, I will read it. But unless somebody can convince me that Turtles All the Way Down will completely change my opinion, I don't know. My answer remains the same. The fifth question is a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. My answer for this is science fiction. I have tried with science fiction and I just fucking can't. I'm not into the sci-fi stuff. It just doesn't resonate with me really at all. Like, I like Star Wars and I do plan on reading some Star Wars books, actually. But to be fair, my least favorite scenes in Star Wars by far are the space fighting scenes. They are so fucking boring to me. Like, just so boring to me. Like, I don't care about the space fighting scenes. I like the lightsaber fights and shit, but the space fighting scenes, they're so boring to me. But my favorite part about Star Wars and like the Star Wars story in general is like the politics of it all, mainly. And I like the characters. I care about the characters. I care about their lives and stuff. And like I said, I'm really interested in like the politics of it all. The Jedi and the Sith and all that stuff. But the space fighting scenes, oh my god, they're just so boring. And I feel like when I think of sci-fi, that's what I think of. Space fights, and I just can't do it. The sixth question is a book you have bought but will never read. My answer to this question is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I bought this a little over a year ago and I unhauled it like a year ago. I bought it because so many people were raving about it and said they liked it and everything, that it was like such a cute story and stuff. I don't even remember what it's about, but I don't know, I just had like some like FOMO over it. But then I had it and it was just sitting there on my shelves for like such a long time, and I was like, I don't really want to read this, and I feel like it was going to be another like radio silence situation where I felt like I would read it and enjoy it for what it was, but I just wasn't going to be able to connect with it like a lot of other people did. So I just unhauled it because I just didn't care to read it anymore, and the only reason I really wanted to read it was because everybody else was talking about it and how good it was. But like I said, I just didn't think that I was going to be able to connect with it as well. I didn't read it, and I don't really plan on reading it anytime soon or anytime in the future. So seventh question is a series you have no interest in reading or a series you have started and DNF'd. I have multiple answers to this question. The first being The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I read about half of the first book and just did not care. I just didn't care. I wasn't interested in the storyline. The romance wasn't even present enough for me to hang on to that aspect. And like I said, I just didn't care about the story. It just didn't seem very interesting to me to read multiple books about it, so I put it away. The second is the Shadow and Bone trilogy, as well as the Six of Crows duology. I read Shadow and Bone and I thought it was okay. It was what it was. It wasn't fantastic to me, and I also just didn't really care enough at the end to continue the series enough. So, I mean, it was okay. It was fine, it just wasn't that interesting for me to keep reading, and I know the Six of Crows is kind of like a companion to that series, so I just have no interest in reading it. The next series is a Darker Shade of Magic series or trilogy by V.E. Schwab. Just like Shadow and Bone, I read the first book. I thought it was okay. I thought the story was pretty interesting, but just like all of V.E. Schwab's books, her characters always fall flat for me. I don't care about any of her characters. They're just all very bland to me, and I need to be connected to the characters to care enough about the story, especially to continue in a series. So I put that away as well. The next two series are The Dark Artifices and the Bane Chronicles. Hello? Can you get Oreo?
I guess.
Woohoo! And the last two series are The Dark Artifices and The Bane Chronicles, both by Cassandra Clare. I've read The Mortal Instruments, except for City of Heavenly Fire. I still haven't read City of Heavenly Fire, and I kind of have been wanting to reread the entire series just so I could read City of Heavenly Fire, but we'll see if that ever happens. And I've read The Infernal Devices, which I loved, but I feel like the Shadow Hunter Chronicles or whatever has got to come to an end at some point, you know? And I just don't care to read The Dark Artifices. Maybe if I read City of Heavenly Fire, that opinion might change, but as of right now at least, I have no interest in reading that. And the Bane Chronicles, I have less interest in reading than The Dark Artifices. I don't really have a reason why. I just don't care. It just doesn't interest me at all, which sucks because I know that a lot of people actually really love the Bane Chronicles, but I don't know. I have no interest in reading about the Bane Chronicles. I don't even really know what they're about. Obviously, they're about Magnus Bane, but I don't know, like, about what? What is he doing? I don't know. And the last question is a new release you have no interest in reading. This one is going to hurt some people. But like I said in the previous question, with V.E. Schwab's characters and her books, her stories and her plots, phenomenal. Her mind, amazing. But her characters always fall flat for me. And after reading A Darker Shade of Magic, I really was just kind of put off by V.E. Schwab's novels in general, like all of them as a collection. I have read A Darker Shade of Magic, Vicious, and I have also read her YA duology, The Archived and The Unbound, and I read those like back in the day. And I remember absolutely loving The Archived and The Unbound so much that I had like the longest book hangover of my life after finishing The Unbound. Now, if I reread them today, my opinion might be different. And I actually kind of want to reread them to see if I feel the same way towards the characters in The Archived as I do about all of her other books that I've read. But obviously, if you're aware of new releases coming out, and if you are a Victoria Schwab fan, V.E. Schwab fan, you're probably aware at this point that the new release that I'm going to mention is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I don't even know the plot of this book, and I don't have any interest in reading it strictly because it is a V.E. Schwab book. I am so sorry. So sorry. Her characters. I don't know. I feel like I've talked about Victoria Schwab's characters in her books enough at this point, but yes, unfortunately, they just don't do it for me. I don't know. I'm sorry. So that concludes the anti-TBR tag. Again, I'm sorry if I came for your faves, but those are my opinions. I'm entitled to have them, and everybody else is entitled to have their own opinions. So that is fine. If anyone wants to convince me to read Turtles All the Way Down, go for it. I welcome it. If anyone wants to convince me to read any of the books that I mentioned, go for it. I also welcome that. Alright, I have nothing to say anymore. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.